And my apologies to my fellow board members and members in the audience for my tardiness of the meeting. This will be our meeting on Wednesday, January 18th. We will open with item number 2, public commentary. Public commentary that is made on an item topic that is not intended or included, on the published final agenda will only be heard by the board. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comments will be made by the board. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. And we'll open that up at this time.
I don't think any.
Seeing there are no volunteers for public comment, we will close item 2 and proceed to agenda item 3, discussion and consideration of action. First up is item 3A, 2022-1001. Discuss and consider action to approve the July 2022 minutes and the October 11th, 2022 minutes.
I move that we approve.
We have a motion to approve the minutes, and I'm sorry, is that for both of the events?
Yes, for both, yes.
Good. Is there a second?
I second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Let it be shown we have unanimously approved the minutes. We'll now proceed to item 3B. This is 2022-1003, the review of financial reports and discussion and consideration of action to approve expenditures.
Hi, I'm Sarah King. I'm the Assistant Finance Director. I'm going to start off by saying there was a packet attached to the agenda item in Legistar, so you will have full detail within there, in that. Down arrow, sorry, they're down arrow. Down arrow. Okay, I did do a quick snapshot of how Falcon Point did for FY22. Looks like total revenues was 1.7 million. Total expenditures was 930,000 for a net income of $785,000. Then there is Pecan District that had total revenues of almost $179,000 and had expenditures of $398,000. $320,000 of that was for a development project reimbursement that you guys had approved back in, I believe it was July.
Yeah.
So the net loss was about $219,000 for Pecan District. So these are wrapped up into one TIRZ in and of itself. So overall, the net, it's still a positive. And then the last item on my agenda is some items for looking forward to FY23. We have city administration fees of $99,000, service payments of $248,000, and a debt service payment of $592,000. Then in Pecan District, we have the city administration fees of $11,000 and service payments of $68,000. Shared within TIRZ, there is a request for a third-party administration fee to actually hire a third-party consultant to come in and help us with everything TIRZ, including the financing and the finances of it.
Do we have the detail around what the contract looks like, terms and conditions for that third party?
We'll have a scope of services for that. This will be the max amount we would do. We're, currently we work with Haas Hill and Ina Megan. You've all met her through that have been on our board previously. They've helped us with our TIRZ feasibility expansion, and as we have expanded the TIRZ, we really feel like that's a great resource for us to utilize Haas Hill in that regard. Would that be the maximum amount on an annual basis for that service?
And so we'd be looking to contract with them essentially on time and material for about 12-month period, not to exceed 45,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and that is all I have for the financing.
Okay. And we do not then have anything that we necessarily need to approve an expenditure for tonight?
That is correct.
Okay. Very good. Any questions from the board?
No.
All right, we'll go ahead and close item 3B. Now moving to agenda item number 4, this is discussion only. Item 4A, 2022-1002. This is a discussion regarding the Downtown East next steps.
Thank you. So for this item, you'll start seeing this item on all of your agendas. In October, you had a joint meeting with the city council and approved the expansion of the TIRZ, which included the 45 corridor, but also the Pecan Street corridor. And the primary focus for that, the first projects out of that, Pecan Street corridor will be the Downtown East project. The Downtown East project, as a reminder, is the northwest corner, 29 acres, that is owned by the city of Pflugerville for future city hall, rec center, and mixed-use development. So this would include the portions that are TIRZ qualifiable expenses for this particular project. We're still working on what that proposal would be, but wanted to kind of set the stage for what we'll be discussing at probably each of your subsequent meetings later this year. Last Tuesday, your city council selected our master developer partner, which is a big piece of what we had been waiting for as we start to move the financing pieces forward. They selected Griffin, Swinnerton, and Catellus will be our co-master developers for the project. They met the criteria that we'd set forward for a public-private partnership, bringing forward also the financial capability to be a great partner for this project, meeting the 19 goals of city council and really helping to drive home that vision.
Do they have a track record in working with the city?
They specifically, not as a city partner. They are nationwide developers. Griffin, Swinnerton, and Catellus both have presence in Austin. Catellus helped the city of Austin redevelop Mueller Airport. So that's a project they've been working on with the city of Austin for 20 years. Swinnerton, I think, has been around since the late 1800s as a construction firm and is now Griffin Swinnerton and has a lot of public-private partnerships, a lot of city projects out in California, Arizona, and Texas as well. So they'll be partnering with us on this particular project. So where we are kind of in this project phase, we've completed everything to that red arrow, going through phases 1 and phase 2, and we're now entering into phase 3, which is the project design and permitting, going into those agreements with the master developer, which would contain kind of the financial pieces, and will get us to what that project list is that we'll expect from the TIRZ board. And so we'll be working on those things over the course of the next 12 months at a rather rapid pace. As y'all are aware, cost of all projects are escalating, and we want to make sure that we're being financially mindful of this project as we bring it forward. And so I just wanted to kind of set the stage as we start to move forward on this project and moving in towards the design and construction phase of the project. And so really just kind of an update for you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
The symbology, the blue and the green, that is meant to be essentially parallel in time, right, as I read left to right?
Yeah, generally, yes. Okay. Right, so as we go through, we've been through various things. We're really at that kind of start of the project design and permitting. We'll also then in parallel be doing public design workshops to make sure we're engaging the public in what that design looks like.
Gotcha.
And just in that particular vein, do we have an idea as to when those design workshops might actually occur?
We do not have that yet.
We anticipate in 23, right?
At 100%, yes.
Okay.
We do anticipate that in 23. We had our kickoff today with the master developer, and so we just are working towards setting that schedule.
Cool. Were there any other slides?
No.
Oh, good. Any questions from the board?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
will close item 4A. Let's go to 4B. This is 2022-1004. Discussion of progress report, budget, and schedule update regarding Pecan District Phase 2.
Okay. And the Pecan District team will join us up here at the table to walk you through kind of an update on their project. And they're going to sit at the table so we have better ability to hear them with the recording.
Mr. Chairman, good to see you again, and board members, good to see you all again. My name is Sid Galindo. The Pecan District is somewhat of a labor of love of mine for decades long, it seems like. And through, recessions and pandemics and rampant inflation and interest rate hikes, we have continued to plug along and deliver on our project. We have successfully brought forth our first phase, which we were able to lease up in record time. So we're really pleased with the project and the progress that we've made so far. On your agenda, you have some, I think there's a description of a financial report and a couple of other things that Emily thought we were going to present today. But we're not quite there yet. We're going to
General umbrella for your
We're
project.
going to have a formal, much more complete presentation for you at your next meeting. But at this meeting, we really wanted to just kind of give you a sense of where we are in that process and give you a little bit of an anticipation of what you can expect to see from us in the next meeting. And so in order to do that, I want to introduce the team that's here to make that presentation. But first, I'm going to introduce the team member who's not here. Erin Nellis is the project manager for Presidium, which is our development partner in the project. She's at work in Dallas right now, but she sends her regards and promised me that she would be here for the next one. So Erin will be with us. We also have Sean Dong. Sean is with Presidium as well. He is the finance guru. If you have any questions about numbers, Sean's the guy, right? So that's why he's here.
Well, I would try my best, but yeah, good to meet you.
And Travis Maltz is our engineer, and he really is the guy who has prepared a lot of these slides and done a lot of the work. So my job is done, and now I'm handing it over to Travis.
Thanks, Sid. Hey everyone. So here's the aerial view of just the overall concept for Pecan District. We do have, I believe, we have 6 phases lined up for us. The land use plan currently on the sheet here is in the approved preliminary plan. But if you go to the next slide here, this gives a deeper delineation of all the phasing that we're working on. So the current status of the project at the moment is we're working with our civil engineer on all of the design aspects of the site. We have roads graded out, we have utilities laid out. We're working on some off-site drainage at the moment on how that's captured through the site. And then you can see everything in red is the initial first, or I guess phase 2 for our construction plans. And then the building over on the southwest side in green is our phase 2. That's a block PE. So that's our first multifamily / commercial space. It's about 61,000 square feet of office and retail and restaurant. And then there are, I believe, 321 multifamily units associated with that as well. So we are done with SDs currently for that portion of the building. For the multifamily side, the last month or so we've been working through the office concept and how if we're going to go with a 90-foot floor plate or a 65-foot floor plate. We met with brokers to discuss what's more marketable to be able to rent up in this market. And so I believe we're finalizing that now, but we are pretty much done with the SDs right now for this phase 2 building. So with that, we're working through the design, and we should be looking to submit hopefully in the near future. Here's another rendering. This is our phase 2 building. This is what we're expecting the multifamily building to look like. So this brings in kind of the second phase multifamily in this area, and this concept of the building is what we'd like to provide for all 4 of the main blocks that we have planned out for this development. But that's my update for the project right now. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Just
Chair,
once.
if I could add just one kind of final footnote to the presentation, what you can expect at the next meeting is going to be a lot more focus on the public benefits that the TIRZ dollars are going to go towards, right? What you're seeing here is basically the skeleton, but I think what we are looking forward to showing you more at the next meeting is the streetscapes and the public places and the areas that we're creating that the community can engage with, whether they live, work, or play here or not.
That actually leads me to my question. Can we go back 2 slides, or I guess forward 2 slides? There. Now here, these atriums that you've got that are surrounded essentially by the building, are those going to be open to the public spaces, or is that going to be resident only?
Those areas are going to be resident only, but there is a pond / amenity area park that is just planned northeast of what this view is, south and like true south. But that area, it's used as a detention pond, but can also be used as a dog park and used as an amenity field whenever it's not pouring down rain.
Okay, I just hadn't seen an aerial view of the building before.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I thought, okay, that's...
Yeah, those are the courtyards, so we'll have pools, amenity decks.
And that's balcony space open into the atrium, that kind of thing? Okay.
Correct.
And I'm sorry, is that the only residential facility, or will there be another?
So, the middle road here, so that's currently Imagination Boulevard. On all 4 edges of this development, there's going to be commercial space right along the road, but then there's multifamily attached to all 4 sides of that. And then the existing phase as well to the south is an existing multifamily site as well.
Okay.
The building, the image of the building you just saw is the green section, kind of the
Okay.
lower left-hand corner.
Oh, okay.
So imagine a building of that scale with some office,
Oh,
one on
right.
each of the 4.
And
right? So that's
how
just-
many units are in that?
Currently for all 4 phases, currently the PUD allows us 1,280 units. So that includes the property to the south as well.
Okay. 1,280. And I have one more question. And so has a traffic impact study been conducted on how that's all gonna?
Yes, yeah, traffic study was done in 2018, I believe, and then an update was done in 2021.
Okay.
So there are traffic improvements offsite that are to be completed once the project starts construction and people start moving in. So
Yeah.
there are traffic improvements planned based off of the report.
And we are phasing those projects, we're not delivering all at once.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And Travis, when I saw this, I believe you said 365 units for this next iteration, somewhere in that number, right?
I believe it's 319.
319, perfect. With that, can you explain to us a little bit about the parking situation for those 319 units?
Sure. So part of the TIRZ as well is for those 319 units, we have parking garages attached to each of these 4 blocks here. So the parking garages are for not only the residents and not only for the commercial or the office spaces, but you have commercial and retail. So there is public parking within these garages. I don't believe there's any assigned gates or anything that block off portions of the garage. So we do have structured parking for.
Do you know about how
public
many spaces will be in there?
For each of the garages, we ran through a parking analysis. For each one of the garages, I believe it needs about 500 or so spaces.
Okay.
And then as we're working through the parking analysis, we're trying to see if that number goes down at all. But more than likely, the garage, based off of that size, will be about the same size as the multifamily site and the office complex. So you're not going to have a garage sticking out
Yeah.
out in the middle of the air.
Yeah, okay, and then, because just doing the rough math, 1 spot per unit roughly, and then we still have over 150 that could be used for office space and transitory shoppers and visitors. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but I think the different uses, they share the garage perfectly, like multifamily, they go out to work, and office, they can park there, retail, they can park there, and when people come back, office people leave, so, yeah.
Yeah, Sean, I think that's going to be one of the interesting things to see how that plays out in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
To see if it's a true return to an office structure, or if this virtualized workspace, sustains itself. And,
Yeah.
one thing to kind of think about is if we had to have another 100 spots, does that mean we have to go up another level, or just in general, what would that mean? Because the things I've been seeing haven't been, a lot of effect in terms of returning people to the office. And so I just want us to be thinking about what's the worst case scenario if we had to put another, batch of spots within a garage.
The beauty with that is, each one of these projects, the intent would be that you'd start construction about a year off from one another. So you would have those parking numbers in the first phase, the first 2 phases, saying, okay, we underparked, we overparked,
Yeah.
what actually happened out here? And since we have 4 garages, if it's like, oh, okay, we don't have enough parking spaces, well, in those future phases, you could make up those parking spaces by upsizing the
Yeah.
garage to supplement for that.
Yeah.
Because all of these garages and within the offices, they're all in a distance that makes all the offices all Class A, and you have plenty of access to be able to get to either one of those buildings.
I have a question, and it just may be that I'm not seeing it, but where, do you have a percentage, or where is the open space, green space? Do you have park facility in this area, in this?
Yes.
I just, is it in that green?
So
Is this
it's,
The first one might show it better.
I think the previous exhibit just shows it better because the colors are a little cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So where the green building is, just southwest of that, there is a large park area there. The road coming down the middle ends and terminates at a large collection area. So that's where we can have splash pads, where we can have festivals. We can currently plan to be able to close off that portion of the road so that you can have some events between Ingenuity, which is the road going from the northwest all the way through the property to the east. So you can close off a portion of that road so that you can have pedestrians walking around, not having to worry about cars. So there is open space along there. There are paseos to the west of the green building to help with pedestrians being able to walk through. There's a very walkable environment throughout this area for people to walk their dogs or just be able to commute around the development. We do have 2 other parks over to the east of that orange building. There's the purple area to the south that can be used as a play park there, and so as well as a small portion of the purple area east of the orange building as well. So there are a few pocket parks throughout here, and then the big terminus park there in the middle for everyone to be able to use. And
Travis, you don't live in Pflugerville, do you?
I grew up in Pflugerville.
Okay.
I went to the middle school, went to Spring Hill and Timmerman.
Perfect, because this outdoor spacing, this parking capacity, this is screaming to me Oktoberfest,
Oh yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's flashing like a big red light to me.
Just gonna make
And then
Deutsche
additionally,
Fest
some
over
other festivals and other things, Cinco de Mayo or things like that we could bring out into, yeah, I love it.
I might add that the PUD requires 11.1 acres, I think, of parkland, and we've gone through a lot of trouble to make sure that we're designing those 11 acres to be usable spaces that people will actually, everybody, not just the people living here, but anybody from the region who comes because this is going to be a destination, that all that public space is really intelligently distributed and made to be attractive and comfortable and a place where people will want to be. So we've put a lot of effort into really figuring out how to distribute those 11 acres in a meaningful way throughout the project.
I think one of the park pieces of this that's important to note is that it's not going to be like you would typically think of a park-like setting. So those pieces that are kind of scattered throughout are also connected by much wider sidewalks than you would anticipate along maybe a commercial corridor. And so to encourage that kind of walkable environment, and so it's not masses of open space, but it's those little pocket pieces that connect the entire project. That was a key piece when we did the zoning for the project, to make sure that that kind of encompassed the idea behind the vision for the whole thing. And so when you see those public pieces come in, they're going to look like that versus the broader kind of green space that we would see.
Okay.
So that was all the slides?
That's it. That was it.
Excellent. Any
short
other
and
questions
sweet.
or comments from the board?
No.
It's so good to see y'all again. Looking forward to seeing you on a much more frequent basis as 2023 rolls around.
For sure.
I love the progress I see. I love the direction that we're going. I think the value to the city is really evident, and I'm really excited about getting this on the ground. So, great job. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close item 4C, and I'll make just one.
4B. You're closing 4B?
I am so sorry, 4B, thank you very much. Before we proceed to 4C, just one administrative note. Board member Darrell Houston has had to leave to tend to other business, but since we don't have any voting to do, we'll be going fine there.
You're good with the quorum still.
Okay, we'll now go to item 4C. This is 2022-1005, discussion regarding quarterly development update.
Okay. Just real briefly, wanted to provide you a development update for really the development occurring in what was the original boundary of TIRZ 1. And so, hopefully you can see that on there, is Willie's Ice House that is finishing their punch items this week. And so we hope to have if not a full certificate of occupancy, a temporary certificate of occupancy to get them up and operating while they finish kind of just those non-safety elements. That's coming online. B is Kohl's, which they're currently functioning under a temporary certificate of occupancy to finish some of their final punch-out items. And then C, you're going to hear more about, but I just want to give you some kind of location. Here's North Point East. North Point is on your agenda for item 4D, but also includes the extension of Colorado Sand, which is a TIRZ item, and a City of Pflugerville CIP project. And so we're finalizing that particular design through our capital improvement program, and we can have an update for you on that particular project at the next meeting. But with that, that's our development update for this quarter. So,
Excellent. Any questions from the board?
No.
Good. We will close item 4C. And let's proceed to item 4D. This is 2023-0040. Discussion regarding North Point East development.
okay. So we'll invite our North Point team to come join us. This will be the first time that the TIRZ board has seen North Point, the North Point project. As I mentioned, we'll focus on North Point East, and tonight is really an opportunity for them to introduce the project to the TIRZ board. They'll be seeking opportunities to have TIRZ reimbursement for public projects through their development. North Point, as I stated, is on both sides of 130. However, only the east side of North Point is within the TIRZ boundaries, and so they'll be focusing on that this evening. I'll give you this. Yeah, the clicker. You just push it down there. Yes.
So, and just some printout presentations, just for a little fear for our pictures up on the screen. Thank you. My name is Philip Welch. Thank you, Chairman, Board, staff. I'm with Trademark Property Company. We're a mixed-use, full-service ownership investment team. We've been in business for 30 years. Over the last 3 decades, we've really prided ourselves on smart growth and really place-making projects and curated projects that are walkable for communities. And we look forward to bringing a project like that to the city of Pflugerville. Our purpose at Trademark is to be extraordinary stewards, enhance communities, and enrich lives. And we feel that's important. Before giving any presentation, that we take that to heart. With me, I have Robert.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Wall with Periscope. We are a senior living development and ownership company. In our past, we have approximately 1 million square feet of senior living under construction, in operations, or in development. We have a history of public-private partnerships. We have tax increment financing in 2 other cities that have worked exceptionally well for us. And
I'm so sorry, what 2 cities are those?
St. Anthony and Bloomington. They're outside of Texas.
At Bloomington, Illinois?
Bloomington, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And our focus here is really on bringing high-quality Class A senior living to Pflugerville. With that, we are in joint venture partnership with Trademark, and on the east track also with Verdot, who is also a partner here, Yariv Ben-Sira and Sasha Azulay from Verdot.
Yeah, with us also tonight in the audience, Chad Colley, who is a partner with Trademark, and as Robert mentioned, Yariv Ben-Sira and Sasha Azulay. Verdot is a boutique investment firm, and they're also the owner of the land and partners in all of the deals of North Point.
And because you asked, I do want to just bring up that Trademark also has, I believe, 8 or more public-private partnerships on TIRZ.
We do, and in the next slide here, you can see. Let's see here. Up on the slide, illustrated on this page is a plethora of successful projects, mixed-use projects Trademark has had, or members of our team have had. You may be familiar with some of them. These projects are known for being best in class. Market Street Woodlands.
And I'm so
Legacy
sorry, am I
West.
to assume that these are all TIRZ?
Not all of these projects are TIRZ projects, but multiple of them have had TIRZ or public funding.
Yeah, thank you.
And these have all been successful. Here up on the screen is the 38 acres of land that we're talking about, the North Point East Tract. This is directly across from Typhoon, Texas, of South Highway 130, and directly south of Hendrickson High School. Currently, as the site sits today, it's an agricultural use, and we hope to work with you and your team, the city of Pflugerville, to make another successful community and project. We also, to note, we're not discussing it tonight, but Verdot Capital, 60 acres of land on the other side of Highway 130, just south of Typhoon, Texas. Plan to work on that land as well eventually as we get through the east. And just want to note that we're coming to Pflugerville and hope to stay with your help. Quick overview of the components of our project. As you can see listed on the screen, we'll have a senior housing component, retail, food and beverage, office, multifamily, public water feature, and then also very importantly, extension of what are the already existing trails at Falcon Point. The entire development, we intend to be in line with the 2019 PUD agreement. And then going in here, I think we pull it up on the screen. There we go, clickers. And here on the screen is just a snapshot overview of the same site that we were looking at previously. We're excited to bring this type and caliber project to the city of Pflugerville. We really are passionate about curating designs that are very intentional. Every piece of the project goes with every other piece of the project, making them walkable. As I mentioned earlier, really taking into heart placemaking, making places that people want to be, not just individual lots. As you can see, we really tailor into the design, green spaces, enhanced sidewalks, landscaping. I think that's one of the things, if you look at any of the developments that we had up on the screen earlier, that set our developments apart is, our attention to detail into the placemaking, and, the Instagrammable moments are also just the green spaces and allowing people to kind of spread out.
Now, just as I'm looking at your rendering here, am I seeing any parking capability that is not surface only?
Yes. In the senior living building, we have structured parking. We don't have a picture of that exactly, but if you look in the middle on the right, that structure has parking on the first level, semi-wrapped with assisted living and memory care above it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
And if I could also point out on this, the important thing from a phasing perspective is that we looked at the East Track as one thing. Like, we didn't break it up into pieces. So when we look at the East Track, it was thought out, it was planned, it was designed for that, in that scheduled.
Very intentional.
Yeah. So I think the next slide here, if you can go there, this is a rendering of the northeast side of Hayden Grove at North Point. This is a 194 unit senior housing. We have 36 units of memory care, 36 units of assisted living, and 122 units of independent living. In independent living, it is a service-based as opposed to a normal apartment building. So we have staff that serve for transportation services, which we provide to all our residents. We have elective services, daily check-ins, we have meal service, a commercial kitchen that serves all of the residents, and a wellness program. On this corner in particular, this is, if you can imagine, the roundabout where Colorado Sand hits Elon Drive. This is on that corner. This is a restaurant, approximately 2,500 square feet, and our placement of this is intentional because it's going to activate, it's going to bring energy to this one corner, and it's going to be a core, it's going to be the heart of the East Track in particular. Our seniors housing employs 60 plus individuals. Our average income for those individuals is above $65,000. We have our RNs, our LPNs, our executive directors, and our leadership teams that are all above $90,000. So it's bringing in a lot of high-paying jobs. It's also bringing in a lot of business for third-party contractors, which we bring into the building for various services such as wellness and food. The restaurant on the side here, we have a restaurant operator picked. We have a restaurant plan picked for it, and our employment there should be 8 full-time employees. We have a retail location just south on Colorado Sand, which will be leased out to a third party.
And I'm sorry, that retail spot, do you have a rough estimate of the square footage there?
That'll be 1,200 square feet.
1,200 square feet.
We have, from a timing perspective, our aim, currently our plans are at about 50% construction documents. We, as Philip might get to this, but we're waiting on an approved TIA, and that I think we have one comment left, or very close to an approval there. And once we have that, then all of our submissions will follow subsequently. We do have an SDP submission already in. We've gone through a few rounds there, but again, waiting on that TIA. We plan on submitting for a building permit in March, and our intention is to start in June with a 24-month construction timeline. I think with that,
Thank you, Robert. So on the screen, just some concept imagery of retail, giving an idea, the sense of the caliber of retail, our company and our team is used to putting together. We're still searching, and we'll bring the right tenants to the right spaces within this community. Also, again, another concept image, we will have multifamily. Just wanted to put a concept image of the Class A multifamily. We plan to bring the multifamily that we bring to the site will be, market leading and really changing what's out there today as far as, condition corridors, elevated, really bringing an elevated product to this community. Also, within the master plan, we have been planning an office site. We're actually just getting close to working with brokers to try to start bringing a tenant. With the office, we have planned great access to Highway 130, great visibility. With the tenants coming in, we think we'll be able to attract very high-quality tenants. We've got 90,000 to 120,000 square foot of office space here. Like I said, great visibility from Highway 130. And we really have taken time, in our planning and our concept planning of putting out outdoor office amenities that are outside of the building, walkable. It looks like you have a question,
Yeah,
Jeff.
well, I was just going to say, and I'm sure it's obvious to you that you're right at the front door of 45 as well.
Correct.
So not just north-south, you're east-west.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Location is great. Again, to really attract those high-quality tenants, upper floor terraces, making it different, making it a creative office building, allowing first-floor retail opportunities with, the Colorado Sand Project coming in, really activating this project.
And on this slide is another view of the East Track, and I want to touch on a few points here. The first being our phasing. The senior housing is pegged to go off, start construction, very similar time to the multifamily. And then once that's completed, we will be doing the office timed with the second multifamily. So at all phases here, we'll be bringing employment into the town, and we'll be bringing in connectivity for the single family and the multifamilies to the east, Falcon Point. But most importantly, we think, and what brought us to this, how we've laid this out, is our connection to Hendrickson High. You'll see throughout this, there's connectivity from a car perspective, biking perspective, walking perspective. Our goal is to keep the energy in the core and allow the connectivity to bring all walks of life into the core of the East Track, where we have both commerce and we have availability for events such as Farmers Market on Elba Bonita, which is the South Drive, which would be less trafficked. But the other thing is when people are looking for how do you get to high school and how do you get access to the 130, the way we've laid this out really allows for a seamless flow without much obstacles, which also doesn't pile up traffic, and it keeps the roads tight so that it's focused more on walkability, on pedestrian, and on bikeability. This doesn't show it very well, but if you look all the way to the right, you can see our pond feature. And our pond feature, I think the next slide will show it from a plan view a little bit better from a size, but it is going to be well done. It's an outdoor amenity that's open to all that come to this area. And certainly when we bring events such as a farmer's market to Elba Bonita, that's going to be a highlight. One more thing I want to point out from from an energy perspective and from an infrastructure perspective, the infrastructure that's laid out and how it's designed is really what enables the livability in this area and the more high quality connection to one's neighbor. We didn't build this so that here's one property and it's cut off. The intent, as we talked about in the beginning, was to design the whole East Track so it seamlessly connects to the high school, to the east, and also bridges the 130.
Yeah.
Yep. And to touch a little bit more on what Robert just said, we appreciate the opportunity to come to present the project to you tonight, show the pretty pictures, but just want to go into a little bit of what we know is needed to make this project come to light. We've been working hand in hand with the city of Pflugerville, the city's engineers, the fire department, to really understand what is needed to bring this project to life. The city of Pflugerville has a CIP project, which is doing the extension of Colorado Sands. Again, bringing that connectivity to the site, allowing Colorado Sand to flow through. You can see with Colorado Sand completion, the city just didn't quite have the budget to completely build it out the way it needs to be. So in our project, we'll be bringing, the public street lighting, the sidewalks we talked about, the landscaping that's required in Colorado Sands, as well as right-of-way identification to keep everything close to the street. Also in pink, you can see two coming east to west and north and south at an angle, public streets, Alon Drive and Albanita Drive, putting in public streets to allow people to have, easier access and really make these sites accessible and desirable, as well as working with TxDOT to put in 2 deceleration lanes to prevent the backup of traffic on 130, and again, right-of-way dedication. And then public utilities, working with the city on putting in the public utilities to serve this site. And also you can kind of see the blue arrow heading off to the west. We'll also have to be putting in about 4,000 linear feet of sewer line to upgrade the capacity not only for this site, but Pflugerville as well, connecting all the way in over by Pflugerville Parkway in 635 to take additional sewer capacity to the west.
So we're planning to go underneath 130.
We will be boring going under 130.
Amazing what they can do nowadays.
So.
If you
Oh, I
also
can't wait to see that.
if you look at the triangle here, that's where our pond is. But as Emily was mentioning on a previous project, there's all these green spaces and open spaces throughout the East Track, and it's these larger walkways, bike walk, that wind throughout the property that just enables access to this pond in a far more seamless, natural way. And you'll see that as we move on to the next meeting, we'll show you more particular pictures of those outdoor amenities. Like on Elba Bonita, for example, you're passing by a little open space, pickleball courts, green space, and then that continues throughout in different pocket parks throughout. But it's that pond that is really going to be the showcase.
Well, I think it's interesting, to point out along Colorado Sands, putting in those widened sidewalks. That's actually going, to fully connect the trails at Falcon Point. You can hop on the sidewalk and get down to, Lake Pflugerville, get over to the disc golf course in Falcon Point, and really go from the neighborhood to the high school, and there's a place to go now. So it's really bringing the full connectivity from north to south.
And what is the start date and the completion date?
So for the start date, as Robert alluded to, starting in 2023, later this year, and then we'll show on the next slide, we hope to have a build out around by approximately 2028.
For the whole project.
For the whole project.
But it mostly kind of tracking to, with the senior and the multifamily happening at once, and the office and the other multifamily happening, kind of segued in there, probably starting in 25, 26.
Yep, and I think it's important to note, the amenity water feature, bottom left-hand corner of the page, as well as the roads, as well as some of the sidewalks that are shown here in pink. Those are going in at the beginning. That's, we're not waiting for everything to get there to put in the amenity feature. We're putting in that public infrastructure to really support these sites.
Do you know the surface size of that water feature?
It's about 1.6 acres.
Okay.
So next slide, that very first image we showed of the agricultural land that sits there today, we're 38 acres, the taxable value. What does all of this mean? The taxable value sitting in agricultural right now is right under $13,000. We've got a spreadsheet up here that really shows, the steps of that build out and how does it move the taxable value as well as the annual revenue. So we're planning to fill it build out, around 2028, the taxable value would be about $310 million. And when continue to grow as it annually increases.
And our goal is to flesh out some of these numbers as it relates to the infrastructure that will go in first at our next meeting.
And that concludes our presentation. We thank you for allowing us to come tonight to present this project. We're certainly excited about it. We hope the city of Pflugerville is excited about it. And if there's any other questions we can answer, happy to answer them.
Any questions or comment from the board?
No,
Okay.
for now.
Well, I'd like to make just a few comments.
Please.
I love what I see. And I love what I see because it's fulfilling a vision that I have for the city that helps define us, and essentially along with our good partners on Pecan development, that Pecan district become bookends to our city. On the right and the left, on the east and the west. And I'm very excited to see that we can break some ground on this and put this, into operation. I'm very excited about it. Thank you so
Second
much for
that.
coming.
Thank
Well, yes,
you.
thank you.
And just like Pecan District, we'll be looking forward to regular updates on how this is going.
Absolutely, we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will go ahead and close item 4D. We are now at item 5 in the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned as of 7:12.